Καλημέρα σας. Χαίρομαι και πάλι που είμαστε εδώ μαζί για το τρίτο Athens Fashion Film Festival. Σήμερα ξεκινάει η σειρά των συζητήσεων Design in Film. Είμαστε πάρα πολύ χαρούμενοι για αυτή τη σειρά των συζητήσεων, γιατί υπάρχουν καταπληκτικοί ομιλητές για πολλά θέματα που έχουν να κάνουν με το design, την ευρύτερη έννοια του design. Σήμερα θα ξεκινήσουμε από την κυρία Lucy Yeomans, η οποία θα μας παρουσιάσει την οπτική της στο πώς τα σύγχρονα brand χρησιμοποιούν τα video games και τους χαρακτήρες τους σαν ένα μέσο για να προσεγγίσουν καταρχάς να μπουν στη δεύτερη αυτήν πραγματικότητα που υπάρχει, τη virtual reality που από εδώ και πέρα θα έχουμε μπροστά μας, και βασιζόμενη στην πλούσια εμπειρία της σαν Διευθύντρια Σύνταξης, το Editor-in-Chief του Βρετανικού Harper's Bazaar και του Net-a-Porter, έχει δημιουργήσει το περίφημο Virtual Styling Game App που λέγεται Dressed. Πρόκειται για μια πρώτη πλατφόρμα στον κόσμο που θα φιλοξενεί μια καινοτόμα συνέργεια μεταξύ της μόδας και του gaming, ένα fashion game app, όπου ο χρήστης μπορεί να κάνει styling ή στο δικό του το avatar, που αυτό είναι πάρα πολύ ενδιαφέρον, ή σε γνωστά μοντέλα, χρησιμοποιώντας original δημιουργίες από brands, luxury fashion brands του πλανήτη. Οπότε ήδη βλέπουμε, ας πούμε, αυτή την συνεργασία και το βήμα που πάμε σε μια άλλη διάσταση πια, η οποία θα περάσει και στον κινηματογράφο και στη μόδα και βεβαίως στο gaming. Πρόσφατα, λοιπόν, το Dress λάνσαρε Styling Games σε συνεργασία με τον EKOME και τη Warner Bros. Με αφορμή το release της ταινίας Wonder Woman 1984. Οπότε έχουμε και το απόλυτο παράδειγμα, ας πούμε, ότι ο κινηματογράφος πηγαίνει προς τα εκεί, αρχικά μέσα από το τρόπο για το branding των ταινιών του, και βεβαίως είμαι 100% σίγουρη ότι σε λίγο θα πρέπει να λειτουργούμε έτσι, και όταν θα κάνουμε τις ταινίες να τις σκεφτόμαστε με αυτόν τον τρόπο. Η Lucy Yeomans είναι μια πραγματικά πάρα πολύ brilliant woman, για να το πω έτσι, και με ένα powerful mind, η οποία περνάει από πολλούς χώρους και κάνει την εμπειρία της πολύ σημαντική και δίνει αυτά τα καινούργια πράγματα. Μπαίνουμε λοιπόν για να αρχίσουμε να καταλαβαίνουμε λίγο αυτό που θα είναι ίσως η μελλοντική μας πραγματικότητα, δηλαδή το virtual reality. Θα συζητήσει με την δημοσιογράφο και συντονίστρια όλων των talks, των digital talks του Design in Film, κυρία Έφη Φαλίδα, στην οποία αυτή τη στιγμή, Έφη, δίνω σε εσένα το λόγο για να συνεχίσετε με τη Λούση, να ακούσουμε όλα αυτά τα ενδιαφέροντα που έχετε να μας πείτε.
Ευχαριστώ, Νικόλ. Να καλωσορίσω και εγώ την Λούση σε αυτή την πρώτη μοναδική έτσι, online συνάντησή μας. Και να πω μια μικρή εισαγωγή ότι ήταν πάρα πολύ περίεργο πώς είναι κανείς να μπαίνει και να έχει αυτή την εμπειρία της μόδας. Επομένως, βιάστηκα, μπήκα, γιατί πρέπει να έχουμε μια εφαρμογή στο κινητό μας. Είναι πολύ απλό και μπαίνει κανείς μέσα σε ένα περιβάλλον που θα μας εξηγήσει τώρα η Λούση. Θα μιλήσουμε γι' αυτό, για το Dressed. Ένιωσα λίγο σαν να κάνω ένα παιχνίδι, δίνω την κούκλα και όχι μόνο. Δεν ήμουν ποτέ φαν της εμπειρίας δίνω και παίζω την Barbie, αλλά ήμουν πάντα φαν της μόδας, του κόσμου της, των ανθρώπων, των δημιουργικών μυαλών και των μηνυμάτων που καμιά φορά μας έδιναν τα ρούχα. Σταματάω το μονόλογο. Hello, Lucy. Welcome to our meeting. And I'm so fond of your work because you are truly a presence in the fashion industry. So tell us a little bit, how did you enter in this world? Let us know your background a little bit.
Well, firstly, thank you so much for having me here. It's a real honor and such an incredible program. So very thrilled to be a part of it. My entry into the fashion world was actually, I started out very appositely for today. I started out as a film writer and a literary writer for the European newspaper back in the day. So my route actually into the magazine world was very much as a features journalist, and very much through the arts, film, literature, all of those kind of worlds. And then when I was I started off in magazines, working at Tatler magazine, and rose from features editor to deputy editor there. I then, it's a funny story, but I was then offered a job. I was offered the job as deputy editor of British Vogue, and on my very, very first day at lunchtime, I got a call from Hearst, who own Harper's Bazaar, it was then Harper's and Queen, offering me the job as editor-in-chief of Harper's. And I was 29 years old, and suddenly, from being very firmly in the kind of features background, more writing, obviously I had a massive passion for photography, suddenly I was kind of catapulted into the fashion industry. Became editor of Harper's when I was 29, saw its evolution into Harper's Bazaar, which was really exciting, and then spent a very, very happy 12, 13 years editing it. It was an amazing experience. And then my friend Natalie Massenet, who I had worked with at Tatler, she was the fashion editor when I was the deputy editor, so we had sort of met, gone our separate ways. She'd set up Net-a-Porter. And we always talked about, wouldn't it be incredible if we could create a global magazine? And we were always kind of after shows, we were always kind of chatting about the possibilities and how we wanted to work together today. So I then went to Net-a-Porter to launch their media division, launching Porter magazine, which was a bi-monthly print magazine with global distribution, and the world's first truly shoppable magazine. And then obviously looked after their weekly digital magazine, their daily digital platform. So, and then obviously came up with this idea for Dress. So that's a kind of potted history, if you like. I don't know if you want more detail, less detail, really up to you.
No, I think that all this resume reminds me that a war correspondent once wrote in the Times that the experience of attending a fashion week in Paris or Milan was similar to a war zone. Do you agree?
I remember that article. I think it was Janine. I think it might have been Janine Giovanni who wrote that, who's a friend. Obviously, I know a lot of. I've worked with quite a lot of war reporters in my newspaper days, so I can categorically say it's not true. I do understand what she means, though. It's very funny, the fashion when the fashion shows, because they're such a kind of high point. They're the real kind of moment where all the beauty and creativity of everyone's looking at them, thinking, "I want to be there." And I remember actually when I was at Tatler, watching the fashion team go off to Paris and Milan and New York and calling in clothes and getting their hair done, and off they would travel, jetting off to these places. And I was so envious. And just thinking, wow, they're off to this, staying in these beautiful hotels. It just all felt rather wonderful. And then I obviously was thrown into it when I was editor-in-chief of Harper's, and it's crazy. You're at shows from kind of 8 a.m. and your day basically goes from about 7 a.m. till about 1 a.m. You never have time to eat. And this is me not comparing it to a war zone at all, but it is very, very hectic, and that you need the stamina of a kind of marathon runner to kind of get through it. You're seeing appointments, you're having this, it's completely crazy. I'm sure it was the schedule. I remember the article. I think it was the schedule that horrified her. She thought it was just gorgeous lunches and beautiful clothes, and it's work. It's really, really hard work, and you're strategic, and you're, it's definitely not, it's definitely not frontline, but that sort of also that, the strategy of getting to the front row, of getting into, is all part of it. So it's really tough on you. And I know lots of fashion editors get exhausted. I say that all of that. And of course, now we can't go. I'm really, really missing it. But it is a marathon, but it's definitely not a war zone. I can I can say that. Yeah.
But well, the atmosphere, yes, it's not a war, but the competition, the strategic mind that one has to build, it's true, and that makes you in a new direction, because you choose to enter the virtual world. How come?
I mean, we touched briefly on the kind of strategy of fashion, but to get ahead in fashion is there's a journey when you start out as your kind of intern in the fashion world, and you're making your way through it. So I was always kind of intrigued by that. But basically, when I was I first started getting interested in gaming because I could just see more of my friends starting to play it. I remember my nephews used to play the Harry Potter games. And I was just kind of intoxicated because I thought gaming was, I had a very sort of, probably old world sort of perception of gaming. And actually, they're incredible. Some of the games that are in the market today are incredible. They're these people are creating these amazing virtual worlds where people can kind of go on the most incredible journeys. And I sort of got hooked on this game. It was one of the Facebook games called Farmville. And I kept being invited by all these people that I knew, not only knew, but respected, people who had interesting jobs and interesting lives. And they invited me to play this game. And I found myself suddenly kind of getting rather hooked on this. I think the quests were that you had to kind of grow plots of strawberries and breed horses. And it was this kind of crazy game, but it was very compelling. And I remember thinking, wow, wouldn't it be incredible if you had a game about something you were passionate about? Wouldn't it be amazing to have a game about fashion? And I really started to think about the synergies between gaming and fashion. And I just and it was so interesting because gaming is about storytelling. It's about journeys. It's about the identity. It's about strategy and competition. And I think you could say all of those things of the fashion industry. And what was interesting for me was I had the idea actually while I was still at Harper's. And then when I went to Net-a-Porter, and obviously, the media and the social landscape completely changed. And I saw all these, brands reaching out to us saying, how do we talk to the younger audience? How do we engage with millennials and Gen Zs? Some of the old ways aren't working. They need something more interactive. They need a space where they can share their point of view, where they have more agency. And I suddenly thought, wow, this would be incredible, because what gaming does is it allows you to be part of the story. You can interact, you can share your point of view, share your creation. And so I thought, wow, this is amazing. And perhaps there's a way that, and I looked actually at a lot of the streetwear brands, and the streetwear brands, the way they marketed and communicated was so much more. It was very much a conversation, not just a monologue or sort of soliloquy from a small group. So for me, I felt that gaming was a way to potentially democratize that luxury fashion discovery experience, because it's so immersive, because people can participate, and that's where the kind of ideas started. And unfortunately, in parallel with that, the demographic of the gamer completely changed, because gaming, obviously the rise of mobile, and that has completely changed the landscape of gaming. And now actually over 60% of women on mobile, of gamers on mobile are women. So that's all of those kind of factors came together to begin, to start the journey of Dressed, really. Yeah.
So you observed the new correlations between fashion and gaming, and you create Dressed. How old is Dressed?
How old is Dressed?
Yes.
We're about a year and a half old, but we're very much, we've been in a kind of we were in a soft launch period for a space of time. We're still, I would say, very early days. We have tons and tons of ambitions about it. My dream with Dressed was really to allow fashion lovers everywhere to have all the tools that I had at my fingertips for so many years. I wanted them to be able to experience this incredible and beautiful world of fashion and get close to the product. So in Dressed, you come in as you enter into Dressed, and you're given you start out as a stylist, and basically you have the models, the clothes, all the kind of amazing brands in that luxury space, locations, photography, all of those kind of elements, hair, makeup, and really it's up to you to come and create. And so we have our game is out there, it's out in the market, but we have a very intense roadmap for the next 6 months, and I really just want to explode it so that people really feel that they're stepping into the kind of magical world of fashion.
Maybe we should show some material from this environment and from this experience, just to warm up our viewers. And I propose to watch a small trailer of Dressed regarding the role of top models in it.
Welcome to Dressed.
Rich and playful, let's say. And technically speaking, how was it to build this virtual fashion app?
It's been a real journey for everyone. We're obviously bringing together in the same way as we're bringing together two different worlds in terms of our team. We're bringing together, technology, gaming, fashion, research. There's so many elements to our team. But it really, for me, when I first had the idea, I actually have a friend, and he he was very excited by it, and is a very successful businessman, and decided to invest in the project. He really believed in it. He actually had got hooked on a game, and he was like, wow, let's give this a go. So investment is obviously important, and that has been amazing. And really it's finding the right technology partner, finding the right talent, and for everything we do is just this sense of collaboration between a lot of disciplines, which can be challenging. A lot of people are intrigued by the retouch process. You know, what we do is we actually have a relationship with, we have a partnership with Farfetch. And basically what we do is we work with them, and Farfetch, obviously one of the, you know, I think now the biggest global fashion e-tailer. We work with them directly. So we pull the product from their feed, so every single piece of clothing that you see in Dressed is there to be, you know, as it drops into the game, it's dropping in real life into the shop. So it's very much this sense that you are playing with live fashion. Everything in Dressed is live. And so what we do is we pull the image from their API. It's a nice kind of technical piece. And we have a retouch team, and part of it is done AI and it's machine learning and these kind of aspects, but we also hand finish every single garment that wraps onto our avatars. As you saw from the video here, this was a video to launch our supermodels in game. When we first launched Dressed, we had 15 avatars that we had created ourselves, all incredibly lifelike. I mean, they're beautiful. Our avatar production team are literally second to none. But with the girls, obviously that you saw there, they had 5 of the world's top supermodels: Natalia Volyanova, Precious Lee, Candace Hufine, Iman Hammam, and Irina Shayk. We actually scanned the girls. We take them into this. It's incredible. It's been the whole process, as you say. How do you do it? It's been such a learning process. We scan the girls using this kind of incredible system that uses about 300 different cameras, and then from that we then basically start to create that avatar using that footage, but also our own images that we shoot of the girls as well. So there's so many different elements. I mean, that's very much the kind of fashion and the avatars, but obviously building a game is incredible as well. So we have a very fast-paced gaming roadmap that changes every week. You know, every single week we're iterating on the product, bringing in new features. But yeah, it's quite a big team to deliver this project, but because there's so many aspects of it, and obviously we need to make sure that we have that ability for people to play with stuff in game, but then also if they love it and they like it, the ability to go and shop that either through Farfetch or the brand's e-commerce site itself. So yeah, a lot of learning in the last year and a half. It's been a steep learning curve. Yeah.
It's interesting because it's a kind of image making, and we, the participants, the gamers, we can do it for ourselves or for our enriching the taste or our styling skills.
Yeah, I mean, the creative aspect was so important for me. As I said, I wanted to give everybody the ability to show their style and really showcase their style. And that has been, you know, it's just, for me, I always felt in the fashion industry that it was only a small few had access to that product. And even on social media, obviously that opened up that world of, of all the amazing influence that have come up through those platforms. But what I loved here was that anyone could play. To be a successful influencer, you either have to have access to the product, perhaps you have to look a certain way. There are still a few barriers to entry. And here, my dream really was to democratize that fashion creative experience. Could we discover the stylists of the future through Dressed? And already, as some of the images that I know we'll go on to look at a little later show, I mean, the image behind me here, and I should just say that in Dressed, you have 2 ways to create a look. You can either come in and create a photo shoot, so more in line with what you've just seen with Natalia and co, where you have an avatar that you can style, and and we basically have a news feed that the stylist responds to. So if it's actually, this is a nice one, because it's the Athens Film Festival this week, we have a styling challenge based on the film festival going live at noon today, which is very cool. So we respond to real-time events. We then invite our stylists to come, and the challenge is, can you create a look, you know, for the Met Ball, from the Valentino show, whatever it might be. And that's one mode, is the photo shoot. And then we have a moment called a mood board, where people are basically allowed to make something like this behind me, and can really, it's amazing. These are all Christian Louboutin shoes. They're from his this amazing collection he did, his nude collection, which was to reflect all the different skin tones, which is beautiful. It's a project that we worked on, and it allows people to literally touch and feel, move the items around the page. There's props, as you can see here. I think we've got feathers and shells.
And I think we also have a nice visual that you sent us. Maybe
maybe this is
we can see that, because it's this kind of synergy that you develop with designers and dress.
Yeah.
And let us see the Christian Louboutin.
Yes, that's a perfect segue.
Yes.
Oh,
no, not yet.
At the wildest party in the world, the richest, most glamorous people on earth,
it's all about looking good,
are about to discover that at this affair,
is fashion art?
Fashion is art of the street, but it's art.
anything can happen.
I'm a sports reporter, for Christ. I don't know dick about fashion.
Even murder.
Murder? It makes my flesh crawl.
Now, 2 reporters are going undercover. And everyone's a suspect.
What's his name? The dead guy.
It could be the merry widow.
He never looked better.
It could be the daring designer.
How many G's are there in bugger off? Excuse me.
It might be the famous photographer.
How have you managed to stay on top of everything?
Probably the same way you have, Kitty.
Just hard work and believing in yourself, right?
Taking advantage of other people's insecurities.
Or it just might be
Cher, hey. Hi.
an exuberant comedy.
I don't think he likes girls. Well, then act like a boy.
Wonderful.
Take me. Oh, God, what are you doing? Well, what can I say?
Sexy. Hilarious. Get ready for Julia Roberts, Tim Robbins, Kim Basinger, Sophia Loren, Forrest Whitaker, Danny Aiello, Stephen Ray, Sally Kellerman, Tracy Ullman, Lyle Lovett, Linda Hunt, Terry Garr, and Marcello Mastroianni in an all-star cast. It's an outrageous whodunit.
This is fruitcake time.
Ready to wear.
Well, change of plan, Lucy, a little bit.
We can come back to the mood boards later. Much more fun to talk about
that's
that.
True, that's true. Because Pret-a-Porter of Robert Altman's is a milestone, I think, for fashion and film. And you will participate in it. And please tell us a little bit about this backstage story of yours. What were you doing in Pret-a-Porter that period of time?
It's quite funny, actually, because until you mentioned it the other day, I'd actually forgotten all about it. Because I wasn't even in the fashion industry then. I was very much in the film industry. So I was, as I say, I was a sort of young, in fact, I think at that time I was actually just straight after university. I'd gone to Paris and I was just kind of starting out my career. And somehow I found myself as an extra on that set, which was amazing. And I was in the runway scene, and it was just incredible. But it's funny now because I haven't actually seen it for so long, and this cast was incredible. And actually, one of the things I did the very last interview with Marcello Mastroianni before he died. So seeing him there just kind of made me a little bit emotional because it was an incredible moment. But I think to the film, what it really wanted to capture was just, again, sports. It was
the vibe of fashion for film. And all these, during the 90s, all the much awaited for fashion, for going out and be at a party or dress for an occasion. And right now, I think that in keeping the analogies, you have considered doing the same with dress, because we are entering in a new era. COVID speaking. And we have lost a lot of real physical presence. So dressed is another way of catching up?
Yes, absolutely. And I think, you know, that there's an element of, you know, Pret-a-Porter very much played to the dream of the kind of life of the fashion editor and the glamour and obviously no murders, we hope. And really in dress, what I wanted to do was really create all of those amazing elements, not all of them in that movie, obviously, but really create what is important in the industry today. And so, you know, I think Dressed is actually a fantastic place to communicate how the industry works today. Obviously, since those times, the fashion industry has changed massively. Now we have much more of a focus on empowerment, on sustainability, on philanthropy. These are all elements that we capture in Dressed. But really, when I was thinking about it, we came up actually with a concept which was called RVR, which was this real virtual real, which is as you rightly say, is a perfect kind of has a perfect moment given the sort of times that we're living in and the lockdown and that lack of real presence. But what we do in Dressed is we take everything from the real world of fashion, a little bit like Robert Altman did, that we take all the real elements, the brands, the personalities, the supermodels, we have Sam McKnight, who does the hair for Chanel, and Fendi doing the hair. We have Mary Greenwell, who does the makeup for Kate Blanchett on the and other celebrities and Chanel and other brands as well. And we basically take all of those different elements, plus the news, plus what's happening in the fashion industry. We create it, that's all the real elements, and also philanthropy, big part of that as well. We then create it in this beautiful virtual space, which is accessible to everybody, very sustainable, no sort of production costs. You can deliver and communicate at scale, which I find very exciting, being effectively a storyteller, the ability to talk about fashion, tell the stories of fashion, talk about the supermodels we've chosen all have big causes that we talk about and we promote. I wanted it to be a place. I have an 8-year-old daughter. I wanted it to be a game where they would come out seeing fashion as this real force for good, the creativity, the ability to affect change. So all those elements happen in that kind of beautiful virtual space that everyone can participate. But then there's a real life outcome. You get to know the brands, you have the ability to shop if you want to be very specific, and if you've styled something in game, you can then go on to purchase it. It's in a lot of ways, it's a global, you know, we're developing it very much as a global marketing platform, because I love the idea that there's this, you know, you go from the real into the virtual, back into the real, and this kind of virtual circle that exists in the game, really reflecting what's happening in the real world. So there's fantasy, but it's fantasy within the confines of reality. And at this moment, it's a beautiful way for people to still discover fashion, maybe sometimes scratch their fashion itch virtually, which is obviously has good implications for the planet. So yeah, there's a lot of different ideas that we're kind of playing around with Dressed, but and all in this fun, playful environment, which I believe an entertaining environment, which I think is so important with the way that we communicate and market today.
Plus, but you arranged to have some special collaborations, even with film or designers. So I'm getting back to our conversation, how the Christian Louboutin and the Wonder Woman, different aspects, different fields, one designer, shoe designer, and a great film that have Dressed in conversation. Μπορούμε να δούμε λίγο τα PDF με την σειρά Louboutin και μετά Wonder Woman. So let's start with Christian Louboutin in Dressed environment, please.
Yeah, so this is just to really show how this is actually just screenshots from the game. So when we work with one of our brand partners, we discuss with them what it's a kind of deeper form of kind of like a marketing campaign. So on this instance, we talked to Christian Louboutin, who I'd had the pleasure of knowing and working with for many years. He was very excited by the playfulness of this project. And so we decided that we would work in this instance on this this nude collection, which was, as I said, all of the kind of shoes and the different skin tones. And so what we tend to do typically is we find what the focus is of the campaign, and then we will create an amazing story. I think you can see in the second screen a little brief which talks about the collection, but it could be talking about the personality. It's like a little news story, but it's all gamified. And when you come into this news story, you have these requirements so that when you enter it as a stylist, you know that you have to use a Christian Louboutin shoe, or, you know, a Gucci bag, or whatever it is that the brand wants to talk about. We then custom make locations and backgrounds. So this is a location for a photo shoot, screen 3, and screen 4 is one of the backgrounds for our mood boards. So we work very much with the creative teams at the brand to find imagery, and it's either sometimes we've actually taken imagery direct for the campaign, or we're inspired by the campaign. And it's really that sense of allowing people to feel like they are creating an ad campaign, or they're creating a magazine shoot, or whatever it might be. I think if we go on to the next screen, we see some of the examples of what our stylists have done, which is great. Oh, no, we've gone on to, I think we skipped one possibly. Is there one in the middle? No. Okay.
No, that's what we have.
Okay, well, okay, this is, we're missing. I'm wondering if they come at the end. Would you mind going forward like 3 just to see if it
3?
Just one, another click, just to see if they've gone in the wrong order for some reason. Or is that the end?
No.
Okay. All right. This is an example of how we worked with Wonder Woman. Sorry, something has been missing a couple of slides. I'm not quite sure what's happened. But again, the same for Wonder Woman. So we spoke to Warner Brothers actually about a year ago, because obviously Wonder Woman, the release date was moved several times last year. And we basically took all of Lindy Hemming's Oscar-winning costumes from the film into the all of Lindy Hemming, who's an amazing Oscar-winning costume designer. We took all of the designs from the film and all of the clothes, backgrounds, worked very closely with the creative team at Warner Brothers to really allow people to capture, to be able to create their example with our avatars. So it was a fantastic project, because people would come into the game, they actually watch the trailer of the video, they watch the video of the trailer in game, and they're rewarded with virtual currency for watching it. So it's an amazing way to get people to really engage with your project. Once you finish the trailer, you're then dropped into a challenge, and you're basically being given the chance to dress, you know, a Gal Gadot inspired avatar for the movie. So it's incredible, because we all know how difficult it is to reach consumers today and to really get them to engage, and certainly coming from publishing and e-commerce. You know, if you have 2 minutes or maybe 3 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes of engagement with someone per day, it's a great thing. We find when we do one of these challenges that they can take between kind of 10 and 15 minutes to complete. So you know that you have your audience completely immersed in your project for, you know, in a really creative and fun and entertaining way. So we've just had fantastic results from all the partnerships we've done so far with Gucci. We've worked with extensively as well. Very excited about the film space. It was our test case that we did with Warner Brothers, and we both had an amazing opportunity. We did quite a lot of research afterwards, and people really felt they would engage with the narrative of the movie and were very likely to go and watch it. So it was, and you know, to go and see it. So particularly in COVID times, a really nice way to allow people to feel like they're part of the storytelling and, you know, interesting in terms of global marketing platform. Yeah.
I think that you are a chef d'orchestre. I mean, you are an orchestra conductor, because you manage stylists, commerce, IT crowd. I'm wondering how you can manage all these things together.
I have it's about a great team, and I've got a fantastic team. And I remember a friend of mine was the creative Soho House, and he said, always make sure you surround yourselves with people who know how to do things better than you do. So that has very much been my approach to this. It has been a lot of learning, and I won't say that we haven't made mistakes along the way, but as long as you learn from those mistakes and move on. But it's a lot of elements. But the idea that we can allow everyone to step in and feel, you know, in some way, I wanted to give everybody the freedom with fashion to be creative, to express themselves, to play. And that was what really, really excited me about this project, just democratizing, throwing open the doors, allowing everyone into that kind of exclusive club, that, you know, hitherto exclusive club. One of my team came up with a great expression the other day, which was exclusive for all. And I love that, because we very much focus on creating an environment that's beautiful, that's controlled, that the brands feel comfortable in, that the Warner Brothers team feel comfortable in with Warner Brothers, but then within our platform, but then giving that player the agency to create and play and experiment in that place is a really beautiful thing. Yeah.
Is it a fluid gender fashion field dressed?
It's interesting. I mean, we have it's such an important part of fashion now, and we actually want to introduce menswear at some point into the game, and that's an interesting piece as well, because, you know, do we encourage and enable our players to style anything on anyone? At the moment, we have about 14% of our stylists are male, so it's very interesting, and we want to keep pushing the boundaries. We want to make this a really, really inclusive environment. You know, the avatars that you saw on screen originally on the supermodels are all obviously supermodel size, but actually our lineup of avatars is very diverse, and we go from, you know, we have plus size model, you know, we have plus size supermodels in our video as well, but we really scan all the different body types and also all the different skin tones and ethnicities. So I really want it to be an inclusive environment, and that completely extends to the sort of gender piece as well. Yeah.
That's true. I have to remind to our audience that we could receive some questions if there is someone who wants to directly question Lucy about dress or about something else around fashion. And in the meantime, I'm wondering, as a gamer, the higher we score, the more we buy virtual clothes, and how can I be rich and have the opportunity to buy the clothes? That's my purpose, you know.
I mean, it's interesting as you with the game, you progress. You basically come into the game and you're given a certain amount of dress dollars, we call them, so your virtual currency. And so everything in the game is priced completely in accordance with how it is, but obviously we have a currency change that, so instead of paying £5,000 for a dress, you might be paying 5p. So it's all small amounts which allow everyone else to engage. As you progress through the game, you create your look, and then it goes out to the community, who then vote upon your look and they rate the looks. And so the better you're rated, the stronger your styling is, the more reward you get. So you're rewarded with more virtual currency. So we've tried to keep very much the progression in line with how you would progress in the real world. So in the real world, you would you know, you have access. So as you progress, you're rewarded not only with virtual currency, but you're also rewarded with better hair, makeup, different locations, etc. So it's very much, you know, it's been actually one of the most fun elements of it is the narrative, is seeing people go through the ranks. And, you know, by the time you're a senior stylist, you've got an array of incredible locations at your fingertips, etc. And you work your way up through the ranks, earning currency as you go. Of course, you can go and purchase currency as well if you want to fast track your progress through the game. And really, it's all in that virtual currency space. If, however, and we do have people who just come into dressed, who want to kind of style before they buy, we also have a wardrobe space where people can style, experiment with fashion, or a lot of people go into the game to be inspired by how other people have put together looks in the game. And that's when you can kind of, you know, actually go from your virtual world out into the real world, and then hopefully come back in. So it's interesting. You can interact with the game in lots of different ways. Some people come in thinking they're just going to be creative, then they get very competitive. Other people think they're going to be competitive and then find themselves styling and shopping. So lots of different ways for people to experience the platform.
And I think that we have a question. So let's try to find out what we have here. You commented Lucy, that we're looking to take it to where we can try out the bag in 3 colorways before it's going to production, which I think will help to solve overproduction. Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit more on how the gamers' habits will translate into useful statistical data for the brands to use when making retail decisions?
Yeah, so as I say, when we do any of our brand partnerships, the data that we're able to give back to our brands is really interesting. We have, we can see which players are playing with which brands, which brand adjacencies. If someone plays with Gucci, which other brands they're most likely to play with. But we also can start seeing, because we're a global platform, we're starting to see interesting insights into kind of, behavioral kind of patterns that we can identify by location. And so obviously sustainability is absolutely at the, is a key driver for us. It's something I'm, incredibly passionate about personally, and really wanted to make sure we brought this into the business model. And so one of the elements that we're working with a brand on at the moment is, can we actually test the product before it goes into production? So before they commit to how many of these bags they're sending here, there, and which colorways, can we put it in game, see how people interact with it, which colorways fly in which locations, and actually then give that data back to the brand and allow them to have a more strategic production, obviously, which is good on a number of levels, both on a sustainability level, but also on a commercial level. So these are the data is such an important part of our business. And it's just really understanding, that luxury customer or the luxury customer of the future and their habits. But the sustainable piece is one aspect of it.
Another question from our audience. Who is the typical dressed up user?
We have a real span of ages. I mean, we have 60% of our audience is in the kind of 21 to 39 bracket. So it's actually a really nice fit for the sort of, that sort of fashion consumer as well. But that tends to be our area, which is obviously very much the kind of millennial Gen Z audience. But as I say, we welcome everyone to dressed, and yeah, we've got players from, I think, from like 17 to 70 when I look at it. And as I said, we have 14% of our audience is men. So I really feel that we're for fashion lovers everywhere. Anyone who, and I think it can be for people that want to buy fashion, people who just want to step into the world. And we have a lot of features coming that are really bringing some of those elements that we saw in Prêt-à-Porter, and I saw in my career in the fashion world, the travel, some of the perks, the flowers, all these kind of elements we're going to be bringing in the next by the end of the year, which is very exciting. Yeah.
So could fashion games somehow highlight new talents in styling and create real love star stylists, is another question.
Yeah, I mean, that's really one of the goals. And actually it was interesting because we've just done a campaign with Breitling, a partnership with Breitling and they were our first watchers in game. The ballet dancer Misty Copeland is one of the faces of Breitling, and she actually judged our who had created the best still life using the Breitling watch, and that image then went on to Breitling social media, etc. So you can see again that real world piece. My dream is that we discover that next set of stylists. It's so funny because we actually have a couple of our engineers who are back-end engineers who are literally building this thing and have no fashion experience, and a couple of them are two of our very best players, and I'm like, you guys just astonish me with your creativity and your flair. And I love that idea that we can find a stylist somewhere in somebody who's maybe, I don't know, an accountant in I don't know, Michigan, or I'm just trying to think of somebody that's seemingly far from the fashion world. But I love that idea. And as people go up the levels, we have this kind of intern to icon progression. But when they get to that icon status, what we'd really love to do, and that takes quite a while to get there, so we've got a little bit of time to develop it, I would really like there to be real life impact where brands are possibly coming to our stylists for certain projects, etc. So all of this is in my great master plan. Yes.
Great. And another question, I think, technical one. Are there any aspirations for dress to be transferred in a VR platform as well?
Yeah, I mean, we very much started in the we've started in the kind of two-dimensional space, which I think is it's so funny. We went to see one brand. We went to see one brand at the very beginning, and they said, "Why isn't this 3D? Why isn't this? Why isn't it? All these kind of different elements." And I said, it's really difficult to actually, it would be difficult for us to render the volume of collection, the volume of product that we have in the game. It's difficult from a network perspective. There's so many challenges, and this brand sort of said, well, we have our whole collection in all of our collection is rendered in we in 3D, and it's interesting. I think we then actually met with their digital director, who said it's actually 1%. So there's a lot of technical challenges, not just from the technology side, but also from the fashion side. Our job really, and our mission, is to really innovate in parallel with our partners as the technology improves, as the ability to capture improves. So that's sort of the whole kind of VR part is part of that. So we are a technology company, and we want to be at the forefront of innovation. One of the pieces that we're working on at the moment is the Selfie Avatar, the ability to take a photograph of yourself and then us to create that into the most beautiful avatar that you can actually style with yourself. So we have lots of different innovation streams. At the moment, our focus is absolutely getting the game stronger, better product market fit, all those kind of elements that we're working on now. But yes, 100%, it's on our roadmap, but we're just not quite there yet. Yes.
Great. And another friend of our discussion asks, how do you think virtual labs will have an impact on cinema? If yes, in which way?
I mean, I was talking to one of the heads of the studio. I mean, there's so many answers to that question, because there's a lot of apps doing lots of different things. In relation to Dressed, what I love is that ability to really allow, very much like the fashion experience we've talked about, is to really allow people to feel that they have a hand in the storytelling and to get closer to the movie. One of the pieces we're looking at for some of our upcoming projects this year is actually to bring the talent from the movies into Dressed, so that people are actually interacting, and rather than just dressing one of our avatars inspired by the project, they will actually be able to feel like they can they can interact with the talent. Perhaps we have ways, we have a whole set of features that are allowing the talent and the filmmakers to talk directly to the audience, to set the challenges, to really inspire them. So in terms of course it has to, for me, it's just about some of these worlds. I think sometimes can feel like we're just sitting there and we're being communicated to. And what I love about Dressed is it brings the talent and the projects and the filmmakers closer to their audience, and allow them to enter into a dialogue that, only previously I was only able to get close to filmmakers and film projects in a professional capacity, because we were working together. And I love the fact that we can actually bring the consumer closer to the product, closer to the creativity.
And does Dressed build any new community between the gamers?
Yes, community is a key element, and I have to say that at the moment it's we have very basic community at the moment, and actually it's my big afternoon session today. is a 3-hour session on community. It's a key part of gaming. It's a key part of fashion. It's a key part of our lives, having these kind of elements, and that's something that very much we're really, really looking at that. The ability for people to find their friends, to style against each other, to form style tribes and style communities within Dressed. Interestingly, we actually have a lot of players who go onto Facebook and create little Dressed communities there, where they kind of they get together and share their work. But we want to very much make sure that's integrated into the platform. It's absolutely key. It's one of the pillars that we are focusing on in the next 6 months. Yeah.
That's great. I think that if there are any other questions, no, I don't think so. And you made us all go into this new community. I think from from my part, it's time to say a great thank you for sharing with us all these information and all these suggestions of fashion experience. And thank you so much, Lucy.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It's just so wonderful to talk with you. And I love, as I say, I love all the topics that are being discussed in the festival. But if anyone wants to have a try, it's there's going to be an Athens Film Festival.
I can assure you that I will make a style. I will make a styling for Athens.
I'm going to go and do it myself in half an hour. So thank you so much for having me.
Be kind with my, with my points.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nicole, do you think that?
Hello.
Hello, Nicole.
Let me see you all. Where are you?
We are here with you.
It was very nice and very interesting, the questions. I don't have the videos. Let me, where is Lucy? Is there?
Yes.
I'm still here. Yes.
Hi, Lucy. Thank you so much. It was very interesting, very, with flow, everything. And I think that you received very nice questions. Yes, very interesting questions.
Oh, thank you so much. It was great. Effie asked some fabulous questions, so thank you also.
So it's great. Let's hope that next year we can be physically here in Athens, and I would love to have you as my guest. And also maybe we can combine with Mary Katranzou,
Oh, I'd love that with Mary. I would love to do something special with her.
Yes, yeah. Let's find it. Let's find it. How we can do it. I don't know, guys. I don't know how to put my camera on. Sorry about that. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yes. Okay. It happens all the time. Don't worry.
So the conversation will be on YouTube, and I will send you the link. So if you like,
great.
You can.
Yes, I would like to watch it a little bit. Just take some notes from Lucy's aspects.
And you too, Lucy. If you like, you can put it on your social, your things.
Yes, 100%. That would be great. Oh, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Lucy.
Thank you. See you very soon, I hope.
Thank you very much. See you later.
All right. Bye. Good luck with all the projects.
Yes, and good luck with the rest of the festival. And
great your interview in Marie Claire. I read it today. It is very nice. It is a nice interview. This is your job, and you as a woman, and have a
I think it's a role model for all of us, Lucy.
You're very kind. Thank you.
No. I mean it because you cover a lot of things and you present them culturally, socially. I really appreciate what you are doing. Thank you
so much. Oh, you've got Mario. I love Mario.
Yes. This will be our next speaker.
Yeah.
Yes. Send him my love.
All right, we will.
Te puedo imaginar haciendo eso. Es mi época preferida del año. Ni en pedo, boluda.
Εμείς φεύγουμε από εδώ, τι